tulong na walang kapalit, bukal sa kalooban. Ang tanging hangarin ay magsilbi sa bayan. Sulong na Bayan! Programang sasa inyo, alas 2 hanggang alas 3 ng hapon. Sulong na Bayan! Kasama si Miss Loli Acosta sa DWIZ 882.
Mga pagpalang hapon po sa ating mga tagapakinig. Welcome po sa ating programang Sulong na Bayan. At tayo po ay excited na maibahagi itong ating mga naging kapanayam sa lungsod ng Davao. We were there about actually yesterday at kababalik po lang natin at naiwan pa ang aking cousin in love. Yun yung aking producer, si Miss Mabel Acosta, ay naandyan pa dahil meron pang mga to iron out, iba pang mga kinks or matatawag nating iba pang mga kapanayam, ano? Excited na excited po ako. I'm on fire. Bakit po? Aba, napakahuhusay at napakagagaling ng ating mga naging kapanayam na opisyal at kawani ng lungsod ng Davao. Naka-attend po tayo ng Cadayawan Festival nila. First in 2 years. Ngayon lang po sila nagselebra ng Cadayawan Festival after the pandemya. Okay? So, abangan natin, ano? Marami po ang sa kanila ay napaka-contagious. Ano ba ibig sabihin yan? Nung habang kinakapanayam namin sila, pati kami ay talagang excited at hindi mapigilan yung aming paghanga sa kanila dahil napakarami po nilang mga ideya. Yun nga yung tinatawag na innovative ideas na nakuha natin dyan kay isa sa napakahusay at mataas high-ranking officials na si Doc May Malu, actually. Doc Malu Monteverde. Siya po ang Pangulo ng Davao Chamber of Commerce Industries. At syempre, isa pa rin pong napakagaling, equally talented and brilliant na Assistant Secretary of Mindanao Development Authority na si Asek Romeo Montenegro. Right? Si Asek Yo. At through the courtesies of Dr. Adrian Tamayo, no? These were all happening or it happened kasi sila po yung nag-arrange ng aming mga interviews, ano? But for now, siguro tunghayan muna natin itong ating naunang nakapanayam, ano? Siya po ay former Undersecretary ng Department of Tourism at napakadami ng kanyang gustong ibahagi. But before that, tayo po ay napapanood via test broadcast dito sa digital free na IZTV. Available na rin po kami sa digital TV devices at TV receivers. Mangyari lamang na scan nyo po ang inyong digital TVs at channel boxes upang mapanood ang IZTV. Of course, sa FB live streaming, makikita nyo rin po kami or ang aming website www.dwic882am.com. Okay, siguro hindi na natin patatagalin pa nang maibahagi natin sa ating mga tagapanood kung ano nga po ba ang nangyari dyan sa Cadayawan Festival. Go ahead, roll VTR.
This is the formal opening of the 37th Katayawan Festival sa Davao, and it's going to have a week-long set of activities for you to enjoy. So if you still have time, I think you still have time to plan this trip to Davao. And the major highlights would be, of course, our Indak-Indak sa Kadalanan and our Floral Flow Parade on Sunday, Indak-Indak on Saturday. And we have several festivities happening starting today all over the city. The Katayawan Tribal Village is one to see and experience because, as I mentioned earlier, the 11 traditional houses of the 11 tribes of Davao are there, but they're set up with, of course, the tribes staying there, and you can see an array of their handicrafts and see and experience their songs and dances. That gives you very much some sort of a great experience when you talk about Katayawan sa Davao. And of course, our fruit stalls are overflowing with fruits, suha, durian. I think there's a lot of marang already. So it's all cultural trip, food trip, fun trip when you enjoy the Katayawan Festival sa Davao this week, August 15 to August 21.
Alright, syempre, nandyan pa rin po si Yusek, ang former Yusek ng Department of Tourism, si Art Bongkato. Napakalinaw po ng kanyang mga naibahagi sa atin at tuwan-tuwa tayo na nandun tayo kasama sa pagdiriwang ng kanilang selebrasyon ng Cadayawan Festival. At actually, nakita rin natin ang aming crew, no? Kasama si Ma'am Mabel Acosta at si Joy Canlog ay na-capture din nila snippets of the actual Cadayawan opening ng Cadayawan Festival ng first-time mayor, the Honorable Sebastian Zimmerman Duterte. Mukhang pwede na ba i-play na makita natin? Go ahead, Engineer Aguba. Okay, counting technical difficulties. Ayan. Go ahead. I think, naririnig ba ako, Engineer June? Oo, may audio kasi siya yung Blessing of Bantayan, yung multipurpose amphitheater dyan sa Magsaysay Park. Nakita rin po natin yan, nasaksihan din natin. At kanina, yung sinabi ni former USEC Art Mungkato na 11 tribal houses ay isa pa rin sa makikita nating kaaya-aya, Kasi kakaiba, biro mo, 11 po silang tribal houses, At yan, mga tribal villages, ika nga, Hindi po yan dating nakikita sa mga past Cadayawan festivals.
Medical workers really work very hard, and many nations also recognize that. Of course, in the Philippines, kasi sa atin, parang somehow, we just say, because that's innate in us, but it's expected, di ba? It's expected. But you've seen also how we excel in that heart, and the root of that is really the heart. The heart to take care of a stranger is also the same heart of receiving a stranger. And by receiving a stranger, it's all about hospitality. So I think the heart of the Filipino is really intended for tourism. That's our nature. And number two, I don't know if it's a negative, borders on a negative trait or really a positive one. We're optimists in so many ways. Always. Maybe because of the situations we are thrust in, maybe. And we just work very hard to get through all past our challenges. But with an attitude that is desirable. Hindi ko naman sinasabing lahat, but I think it's something that is appreciated by many. So that's one. And because of that, we are able to provide a very unique experience for travelers. We cannot compete with other huge destinations when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to the size of gateways, the number of flights. But the kind of experience one can have in our country can actually be can excel and can be compared with the best experiences because it's really the Filipino serving them, Filipino greeting them, Filipino just being with them. There's even a joke I just heard from the late secretary. Man, you just stay in the Philippines for for a week, you already become a ninong, di ba, of somebody's child. Di ba? All of a sudden, you become family. And I think also our facility for the language, although we're not excellent, but we're able to communicate. And of course, the bigger percentage is the non-verbal communication anyway. So the way we care about people also exudes that kind of
only in the Philippines.
Well, why not, right?
This character.
Yeah, only in the Philippines. That's why it's more fun in the Philippines. It's like what they say, parang it's true naman. Yun naman talaga. That's what and it rings true always.
Right. A lot of people will say, they go out of their way. Minsan na, sa panig yan sa tutulog, yung bed, bibigay pa nila sa'yo. Yung bed nila.
It's very Filipino trait. We'll offer you our last meal. I don't know if it's good or not, but it works.
Ayan, nandyan po tayo sa Cadayawan Festival. Actually, yung opening po, at ang Honorable Mayor Sebastian Zimmerman Duterte ay maya-maya baka marinig natin ang kanyang mensahe. Dahil ito po yung first time na nagkaroon ng face-to-face Cadayawan Festival. Kanina nabanggit niya USEC Art kung gaano ka-generous at hospitable ang mga Pilipino. And remember, dito lang po, only in the Philippines, di ba? Dito nyo lang makikita na pagka kayo ay bumisita. VIP treatment. Bakit po? Sabi nga ni Yusek at Mungat.
Restrictions, ning sumot ko, doktor ako, aprihan ako. Ang iniwala ni Mang-an na nag-epidemia. Pero, it's not as bad as it used to be. So, pero you have to still wear your mask kung observe lang itong mga hand-washing. Ito mga protocols to avoid getting the disease. Because
Palang hapon po sa ating mga tagapakinig. Welcome po sa ating programang Sulong na Bayan. At tayo po'y nadidig sa iba't ng panig ng mundo. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening as the case may be. Lalong-lalo na po sa Estados Unidos, sa East Coast, sa West Coast, ganoon rin po sa Gitnang Silangan. Napakalakas po natin sa Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, dyan sa Jeddah, sa Riyadh, sa Qatar, at syempre ating mga neighboring countries. Saan naman po yan? Sa Down Under, sa Australia, hello May. At ganoon rin po sa Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore, Hong Kong, Myanmar, at malakas na rin po tayo sa Macau. So hello po, dito naman Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, and guess what? Nandito po kami sa City of Davao, no less than sa office ni Vice Mayor J. Melchor Kitain. At maganda po ang ating magiging talakayan, so abangan niyo po ang ating ibabahagi sa inyo sa ilang minuto. Good morning, Vice Mayor.
Good morning, Loli. Without the ma'am. Loli, good morning, Loli.
Hello. Ayan, nice day. Ganda.
Welcome to my office. Well, as Vice Mayor, ma'am, just to give you some info, previous to being the Vice Mayor, I was a City Councilor for 2 terms. I still have 1 term as City Councilor, but now I'm the Vice Mayor, and of course, as a lawyer, ma'am, it's also a dream of mine to be a presiding officer. You know, if you're a lawyer, usually you dream of becoming a judge. When you become a judge, you preside in the courtroom. Well, right now, I don't think I'm going to be a judge. No, I don't think that will happen in the near future. I will not be able to apply for that position. But I'm happy now I'm able to preside just like a judge presiding over the Sangguniang.
Vice Mayor, did you dream of a higher office? Or nag-aspire ka ba talaga nitong position na to?
Well, honestly, ma'am, we never really dreamed of going up the ladder and becoming a vice mayor. My only goal then was just to finish my 3 terms as city councilor. And as now sitting as the vice mayor, my first priority is really the council sessions. If possible, we get full attendance all the time, if possible.
Talaga ba?
Yes, ma'am. Meron sometimes unavoidable where there's 28 of us. Sometimes some councillors have emergencies. Some councillors have some personal things to do that unfortunately fall on the same day as the session, which is Tuesday, and they go on leave. But most of the time we're almost full, and I'm very particular with the deadlines. If you have committee reports that are downloaded to your office, I'm particular that you meet all the deadlines on time because for all we know, the executive department or the mayor's department is waiting for these reports because they need it the soonest. So that's what I do. I monitor them and request them to be on time with their deadlines.
All right. What were your achievements nung konsehal po kayo ng 1st District?
I could say that holding the position of floor leader when I was a councilor in 2016, I think midway I became the floor leader, and 2019, my 2nd term, I also became the floor leader. Most ordinances that talk about or tackle about rules and ordinances, they go to my committee. So I have the privilege and honor to have spearheaded or started or enacted the DQR ordinance. Davao DQR ordinance. Yes, ma'am. Although most of the inputs came from the executive department, all we did was really to fix it, then put some additional provisions there, which I think is necessary, and we're able to pass that. That's why during the pandemic we have the DQR. You cannot enter into establishments if you don't have that. Now it's going to become an ID for senior citizens and PWD, so that when they will be receiving ayuda from wherever the government, they have an ID for that purpose. We also passed some ordinances about nature, what they call this, it's called the Urban Ecological Enhancement Subzone areas here in Davao City, where these are no-build zones because these areas are susceptible to landslide. And if you construct on these areas, it's prone to this calamities, landslides, and it will also destroy nature. So we were able to pass that. Sometimes the best areas you want to live in would be the mountainous areas because of the view, but not all are really safe for development and construction. It's better to keep them green.
Greens. Okay. Apart from zoning, how else does the city government ensure the proper land use given the brisk development in Davao City?
We have now the comprehensive land use plan of the city. It's called CLUP.
CLUP.
Yeah, so
comprehensive land use.
Yes, and everything there. The zoning here in Davao City, the land zoning is really institutionalized, where in this area will be strictly agriculture, this area will be strictly industrial, residential. So we have done that. Yes, ma'am, we have done that during the term of our then Vice Mayor, Pastor Duterte. He wanted Davao City to be really the delineations be clear-cut. So where is the agricultural area? Where is the area for residential? So we're looking forward for that CLUP to be finally approved. We approved it on second reading, but now it goes back to the DSAD, formerly HLURB. Then when it comes back here, we will approve it immediately.
Yung coordination niyo po ba sa DHSUD, Department of Human Settlements Urban Development, kamusta po? Wala po bang hitches?
It's the same executives or officials manning the diesel from the HLURB. So everything's closely coordinated. When we have items here regarding housing, they will always be invited, and we always take a look at the documentation if the applicant, developer, is already passed to their office. If so, that's just one part of the checklist. There's still a lot of checklists to accomplish.
May priority ordinances po ba ang sangguniang panglungsod ngayon?
So far, we're trying to come up with the maximum security zones here in Davao City. I think it was discussed the last session, but it had to go back to the committee because there will be some fine-tuning that needs to be done. Maximum security zones, we all know that security is still an issue. I mean, it's an issue everywhere in the Philippines. Here in Davao, the city takes it seriously, the security of the citizens. So these maximum security zones will have some conditions. If you go to that area, the security will be tighter because these areas is where people converge, the public, the people will crowd. So we're trying to define where in Davao City we can identify as maximum security zones. So if hopefully if that will get through or get approved, then enhanced security will be expected for these areas. The health also is on. Yes, because recently we had an outbreak of was it I don't know if the right word is an outbreak. There were people who got sick. They got diarrhea in Turil. Okay, so the city health and the committee on health here in Davao, in the Sangguniang, will work on an ordinance to handle also regulation for the ambulance street vendors. So it's because sometimes the causes would be improper food handling. Some suspect it to be water. Some suspect it to be the food handling. So the Committee on Health and the City of Health are on top of that matter now, and we're expecting ordinance to come out from the committee and to be discussed here in the plenary.
And how is the pandemic status now here in Davao City?
Well, I'm not privy to the exact number, ma'am, but what I know is the number of cases, it's rising, but not at an alarming stage. No? So I think we can say that everywhere in the Philippines, people are still getting infected with COVID-19, and the best that the city can do right now, of course we still have the facilities, is to continue on with the vaccination programs. It's just to tell the viewers before, during the reign of, or the term of Mayor Baste, when he was the vice mayor, he had a vaccination program. He goes house to house. His office goes to house because he doesn't want to hear stories about, you cannot go to the vaccination site. Okay, no excuses. We bring the doctors to you, get vaccinated at home. So he did that for the entire... Yes, ma'am.
Palliatives, they bring everything.
Yes, so you have no reason to come up with excuses. And also he ordered all city councilors to do vaccination sites in their respective districts. And so we continue that now. Today, we have still councilors, and my office are still doing vaccination on site in identified barangays. The vaccines are for the children who are already of the right age. First, second dose, first booster, second booster, all of that, you can get that from the barangays now. Just look at the website or the Facebook page, the schedules are there. So
right.
No reason for you to...
Malalaman pa natin sa ating pagbabalik kung ano pa ang mga serbisyong publiko na pinagkakaloob ng butihing mayor natin, ang butihing Vice Mayor, Honorable Vice Mayor J. Melchor Kitain, ano? But we have to pause for a break. Diyan lamang po kayo, huwag kayong aalis.
Si Miss Loli Acosta, Sulong na Bayan sa DWIZ 882.
Ang ating programang Sulong na Bayan, at syempre kapiling pa rin po natin sa ating panayam sa lungsod ng Davao ang Honorable Vice Mayor J. Melchor Kitain. Kanina nabanggit niya na nga po, just to refresh your memory, yung pagbabaksin ng ating good mayor Honorable Sebastian Zimmerman Duterte. Kung ikaw ay hindi pa vaccinated, wala kang excuse. Hindi ka pwedeng magrason-rason dyan dahil mismong si Mayor Duterte, ang actual Mayor Baste, ang pupunta sa inyong mga bahay-bahay. So wala ka ng rason, di po ba? So ibalik natin ang serbisyo publiko na sinasabi.
Travel outside your barangay. It will be right there. Might be even near your house.
And ito po, meron po bang good news for senior citizens and persons with disabilities, mga PWDs natin?
So far, I think the last ordinance or the last plans for the city, it was during the term of Vice President Sara. So that was just 2 months ago. Kasi July lang naman nag-start. The city is coming up with this ID, the one I told you, because right now we don't use our QR codes anymore. We don't use that to enter establishments. We don't scan that anymore. So what's the use of that now? Are we going to throw it away? No. For the senior citizens, you keep that because I believe the city is coming up with an ID system wherein the DQRs will be used so that senior citizens will be able to get their benefits, ayudas, or whatever from the government via that card. So I think you don't have to fall in line to get the ayuda. That's not only hassle, it's dangerous also. But hopefully, if that comes out soon, I think that will be the first here in Mindanao or in the Philippines, because that will also serve as your senior citizens ID.
So parang yung na siya, complete.
It's like an ATM card na now.
You mentioned about infrastructure. What's in the pipeline?
Well, we're hoping the high priority bus system, which was planned originally by VP Sara, it will push through. Then we will have the waste to energy facility here also. We're hoping to complete the funding for that para yung problems of garbage solved po.
If I'm an investor, what can you offer me for an investor?
Dito, ma'am, so far, mga developers are coming here, mga big-time realty investors, condominiums, residential, mga subdivisions. Meron tayo dito nung yan yung pinuntahan ko last time, Davao City Global Township at the old Matina Golf Course. It will be like BGC. Anda na, tapos na. Yun na lang, magsistart na sila gagawa ng mga buildings. There will be a mall, there will be a convention center, there will be condominiums.
Before we close this, itong safety, I will go back a little bit. The communists, are they tamed or ano ba?
Right now, if you talk about yung insurgency caused by them, the only solution to that is development. So if you go to the Pakibato area, everything's already, the road network is already concrete. In place na, cementado na, unlike before. That's what I heard from the second district councilors, because ako kasi mama, I'm from the first district. If you're in the first district, it's poblacion, ganito lang. City ka, downtown area. And they go up all the way to Pakibato, and what I heard from them, and also when I campaigned during the last elections, I went to these places to be familiar, because Vice Mayor kasi all the three districts will be under you. So napuntahan ko nga, nagtahabi ko, safe pa dyan, safe pa ba? Safe man. Sementado na lahat. Iilaw na. And sabi nga sa akin, if there's development, then these insurgents will slowly move away. They will not concentrate there anymore, because the presence of the government is already felt in those areas. So people siguro cannot be recruited there anymore, because there's livelihood, there's jobs for them already. So it's the only way to do it, other than siguro mag-gera kayo, magpatayan. You put the presence of the government in these areas.
And talk about issues. What burning issues do you face right now?
Well, so far ngayon, ma'am, ano pa rin yan? Pandemic pa rin naman. Yun nga.
Are you guys ready for that? And what are you doing?
Yes, ma'am. Monitor dyan ng City Health every Monday. Today's Monday, we have the mayor conducts a department heads meeting. Everybody, all departments will be reporting, so we will know what issues needs to be addressed immediately. So far, yung parang nakatutok lahat parati dyan sa monkeypox, dun sa COVID-19, kasi we don't want the alert level here, which is 1, to become to 2 or 3, unlike what's happening siguro in other places. So far ngayon, hindi, we're okay pa rin.
So normalized na, back to normal operations for all businesses. Kasi
normal ho. Ngayon, it's Cadayawan now.
Okay, winding down na tayo, Vice Mayor, sa ating first segment ng aming feature sa iyo. and your office. Ngayon, with the new administration, please share your message of hope.
We have to brush aside all our individual differences. We only have one government here in the country. We only have one set of leaders. They will be sitting here running the country for the next 6 years. And what we can do to contribute to the success of the term is to help them, help one another. What we need now are the inputs of everybody, whether positive or negative, so that the government will know what issues needs to be addressed immediately and what are these that needs to be prioritized. I'm sure the government already has plans for the country now and for the next 6 years, but of course these plans will not be perfect. They will be fine-tuning that needs to be done along the way, and that can only be done if the people will participate by giving their thoughts, ideas, and inputs, and to always stay positive. Because if we become negative and all we do is criticize with the end purpose really only to ruin the credibility and this government, that's not good. But if your purpose to criticize is to help the government, then that's very nice for one. So, yun lang. Have your vaccines, ha? The booster shots are really important for that immunity because the pandemic will not go away, and we do not want lockdowns to be happening again, just like what happened 2 or 3 years ago. So I'm positive, ma'am, and I'm staying positive that the whole country, not just my place here in Davao City, is in the road to recovery. So let's not forget to always say our prayers. Whatever time of the day you feel like praying, you do that. That will. There's always the divine presence of God who will help us through all this. Yun lang po.
And lastly, Vice Mayor, invite everyone to the Cadayawan Festival.
So I'm inviting everyone to come here to Davao City and join in the festivities of our Katayawan Festival. This is the first face-to-face Katayawan that will be happening after 2 or 3 years. So we are very happy. We have made it very, very festive now, so that we will be able to attract tourists, local and foreign alike, to come to Davao City. So it's safe here. I think we are allowed to travel already. By land, by sea, by plane, everywhere it's open. So punta po kayo dito para po naman mag-enjoy kayo at hindi na lang puro problema iniisip natin. It's time to enjoy, and if you want to enjoy, you come to Davao City for our Cadayawan Festival.
Right, narinig po natin, napakalinaw ng sinabi ng ating butihing Vice Mayor J. Melchor. Kitain, pray. Kasi hindi po naman agad kaya ng lahat ng ating mga lokal na ehekutibo ang mga challenges na nahaharap sa kanila, no? Kasi again, first timer nga po na nagkakaroon ng selebrasyon ng Cadayawan, ano? So, face-to-face po ito. At yung mga nabanggit niya mga proyekto, yung kanyang napaka-sinsin na koordinasyon with different sangay ng pamahalaan, lalo na sa DSUD. Panggit niya po yung former HLURB na ngayon ay ang tawag Department of Urban Development, Department of Human Settlements for Urban Development. Excited po si Vice Mayor J. Melchor na ibahagi kung ano nga yung mga projects na meron sila for infrastructure para makakuha ng ating mga investors na tinatawag, ano. So again, hats off po tayo sa kanya dahil napaka-enthusiastic at saka siya on fire para ibahagi sa atin yung mga projects na meron sila ngayon. And syempre, aabangan pa rin natin. Meron po tayong somehow isa pang panayam sa kanya para sa kanyang family history. Saan nga ba nanggaling ang mga kitains at bakit ganyan siya kasipag? Sino nga ba nag-motivate sa kanya? At siguro bakit nandyan yung passion niya to serve. Bihira po kasi sa mga lokal na hekutibo yung talagang nagsisilbi somehow sinasabi nila, serbisyo lang to pero pinangako mo nga, gusto mo tuparin pa natin. Iba naman tong si Vice Mayor J. Melchor Kitain, As growing up, nakita niya yung disiplina ng kanyang ama at kanyang mga siblings, mga kapatid. Pero abangan niyo po yan, At isa pang abangan ako bukas. Huwag niyo ipipihit ang inyong dial, Dahil bukas excited tayo naman. Another innovative na matatawag nating mga projects moving forward para sumulong ang ating bayan. Napakarami po ng naibahagi ng ating Assistant Secretary Romeo Montenegro ng Mindanao Development Authority. He was representing the Mindanao Development Authority Chief Mabel Acosta. Kaapaligido natin. Napaka-busy po kasi ni Miss Mabel nung tayo ay naandyan sa kanilang tanggapan dahil katatapos lang nung kanilang pag-uugnayan at pagpupulong na ginawa sa Singapore. At good news yan. Bibitinin ko muna po kayo kasi bukas ipapahayag ni ASEC Yo Montenegro kung papaano nga ang naging kaganapan dahil kasama siya nung pumunta dyan sa bansang Singapore para mahikayat mga foreign direct investors at napakarami po. Excited tayong maibahagi yan tomorrow sa inyo. Napakarami po ng mga gustong makita ng mga Singapore nationals. Alam niyo po ang Singapore, syempre nandyan ang major hub, Nandyan lahat kung gusto niyo malaman ang mga hot projects na matatawag sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, pumunta kayong Singapore. At sila po ay excited na makapanayam naman yung iba pa nating mga lokal na ehekutibo na iba't ibang sangay ng pamahalaan like Department of Trade and Industry at saka yung iba pa nating sa NEDA. Actually, they're here already in town. I was told na dumating na po yung ibang representante ng Singapore government para nga tutukan yung kanilang napagpulungan o napag-usapan nung pumunta dyan si Mindanao Development Authority Chair Mabel Acosta at si ASEC Yo Montenegro. Nako, thank you kung hindi dahil kay Bossing, Executive Director ng MINDA, no less than Doc Adrian Tamayo, hindi po mangyayari ang aming panayam na yan kahapon, itong nakalipas na araw, But bukas, bibitinin ko muna kayo, So, kanina, just to refresh your memory, napakalinaw ng sinabi ni Vice Mayor J. Melchor Kitain dahil ito yung tinatawag niyang ang mga Pilipino, ini-echo niya actually yung sinabi din ni Mayor Baste kung ano yung peace-loving and law-abiding na Davaoenos. Hindi matatawaran. Kasi everywhere I went, kami po, punta ng mall, punta ka ng restaurants, punta ka ng hotels, punta ka ng airport. Napaka-polite po nila. Lahat sila ay agad-agad na bumabati sa'yo in the native tongue. Kamusta? Thank you. Welcome. Yung lahat ng pagbati na ikaw ay magkakaroon ng somehow may peace of mind ka pagka nandun ka sa lugar na yon. Dahil bumabati sila na maayos. Bihira ako makakita ng ganun kasi dito sa atin, Luzon. I don't know sa Visayas, But dito, di ba? Magpunta ka sa isang lugar tatalikuran ka pa minsan nung iyong kausap So hindi po medyo sabihin natin hindi polite pero dun pala sa Davao kahit saan ka pumunta, whether sumakay kami ng taxi o nag-pedicab pa nga yata kami ni aking pinsan Mabel Acosta, nag-pedicab kami dahil gusto namin magsimba nung linggo. Pati nga yung ano ba yan, multicab driver, mahusay bumati. Good morning, magandang umaga po. At napakarami ng aking natutunan dun sa isang multicab driver na yun nung linggo, dahil nag-sharean pa kami ng mga Bible verses. Ganon sila ka-warm. Kaya yung hospitality or generosity na binanggit din ni Yusek Art Bongkato at ni Vice Mayor Kitain at aking naramdaman kami naramdaman po natin yan nung tayo nandun. Okay, nako, bitin na. Pasalamat naman tayo sa ating naging kaagapay. Siyempre, Engineer Juna Guba, writers Aram Rashid, Mara, and Ma'am Juday, ang ating news director sa social media. Jam, thank you for the patience, Jai and Elaine. At siyempre, sa ating communication assistant na napakatsaga din, si Miss Joanne. At ako, yung ating masarap na candy, ang original po niyan ay si Lola Abon, original durian candy. Meron silang durian delight, mangustin yema, ube, may keso, at pineapple yam. Nako, wag lang hindi kayo kukuha niyan pag pumunta kayo ng Davao. Napakasarap ni Lola Abon. Diyan, ang original durian candy. At syempre, Maybell, thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow ang ating isa pang episode for Mindanao Development Authority. At thank you, Chairman D. Edgar Cabangon, Randy Cabangon, Miss Ana Cancino, ating Vice President din si Sir Cholo Aviera, Marvin Estigoy ng ating sales. At syempre, as I always say, keep God first in every area of our lives, so He will direct our path. God bless everyone.
Si Miss Loli Acosta, Sulong na Bayan sa DWIZ 882.